Hey, what's up, guys? So, when it comes to the success of Safemoon and Evergrow, I want to talk about the mindset that actually helps lead to that. And I think it's extremely important to see yourself for what role you play in the success of the project. I think what we've seen with a lot of these projects is, we see the launch and then we see that spike, and then we see all these investors who are waiting for something to happen here to create that J curve so that we can see the price spike, so that we can take our profits and be happy because we made money and made a big change in our life. But the problem that I see sometimes is I feel like we have what we see is certain investors who get this mindset, and I think that we're being taught to think this way. And it's kind of like a baby just sitting in a high chair, waiting for the team to deliver the food, to deliver the products. And if it doesn't like what product it gets, it just whines and complains and cries. And I think that's a terrible mindset when it comes to the future of this project working. Imagine that we're all actually part of the team. That's what you are. You're part of the team, and you can quit whenever you want when it comes to helping this thing grow or not. We would take a completely different approach. Imagine that whether you're on Safemoon or Evergrow, that they decided to hire you on. And let's just say they hired everybody, because that's kind of what's happening when you're invested. A lot of companies will give shares to the employees and they're invested in their own company. So in a sense, we are part of the team and we play a role in its success. Imagine ourselves as this baby who's waiting for products, and it's just going to complain and whine when it comes out. That's a terrible mindset to set as a standard for investors, and that really needs to change. That standard really needs to change. And what we need to see is a moving from being waiting and seeing what they do for me and then being upset if it's not good to, hey, I'm part of the team. How can I make this succeed? And what we need to see is encouragement, constructive criticism. With anything, everything that has happened, the computer, your phone, everything was met through tons of failure. Failure is not a bad thing. Failure is a pointer to what needs to change in order to succeed. With any team who's looking to launch something, we need a community behind them, not seeking to destroy them when they don't put out something they like, but a community behind them looking at what can be changed for good. It may not even be a negative thing. It could just be something we're not looking at. And us using our mindset to work together to help our project succeed. I don't know if you guys watch Star Wars, but there's a Star Wars where Yoda is on the battlefield, and he's got his suit on, and there's all the drones, and they're out there with their blasters and their guns, and they're basically fighting the Clone Wars. I think it was the Clone Wars. And there's these massive ships in the sky, and what Yoda says to do, basically, he says, everybody stop firing at different things and let's all fire at one at a time. So everybody shoots at one of these giant ships at a time, and then that ship gets destroyed and it comes down. I think that this is a perfect example of what it means as we come together with the community, for those who actually are willing to put an effort into their own investment and consider themselves part of the team and to work with the team. We can push together hundreds of thousands of people to help this grow. And, kind of on a side note, I would love to see this with humanity. I think that if humanity came together, what we would be capable of would be insane. We'd be able to solve the mysteries of the world, cancer. We'd be able to make world peace. We'd be able to solve world hunger. But we're so divided, and the greed and the power and the corruption that rules the government, that's a problem that doesn't exist inside certain people, but it exists within all humanity, is just amplified through these leadership roles that have been corrupted, is what stops us from doing that. But back to crypto on a smaller scale, on a different subject, if we can get hundreds of thousands of people who really care about the success of their project to put in effort and energy and positive, encouraging, constructive criticism and new ideas, we're going to succeed. And it's that way in life with you. If you do that with anything that you're seeking to do, whether it's music or art or anything, you're going to succeed with enough time. But the more people you add to it, the more likely success is. And that's what's so great about these projects. The big problem that we're seeing is that this mindset has been made that divides the community into this just consumer mindset. Like, we're just sitting back, we're hyping about the project, and we're only saying positive things, and we're supporting you while we wait for these projects. And we're going to talk about how amazing everything is. Everything's amazing because it means I might get rich one day, is the basic mindset. It's amazing because I might be rich. And what we need to see is the exact opposite, is we need to see a team mindset that is realistic about the negative and the positive, but it's also not trying to destroy. That's what separates FUD from a true investor and a true team member. Is their goal isn't to destroy you or make you look bad or steal your investors, or make people sell so they can buy more. Their goal is to make us succeed in a real way. And that's the standard I think really needs to be talked about in this space. People really need to be able to differentiate between what is FUD and what is helpful and what is good and what is bad. And what a lot of people don't realize is that if you're only positive hyping your own project and you don't look at any negative aspect, you're actually bad for your project. It'd be like your brain cells telling you that the cancer in your arm or something isn't bad, it's good, because if you say it's bad, then it's then you're creating a bad negative mindset for your body. So I would just love to see a major shift with investors taking crypto and making it legitimate. Sam Kelly talks about legitimizing crypto, and that's going to happen from us maturing in our state of minds. I think when you see all these big pump and dumps, it helps create people who are upset that they don't see the project going up, and it makes them fear that they're part of a bad project again. It's completely understandable. I can also see if a team makes promises and sets dates, I think those are bad. It's nothing wrong with saying like, hey, this is when we're aiming to get this done by. But when we start saying we know, like that's when it becomes a problem with anything. If you say, I know this is going to fail, or I know this is going to succeed, nobody knows the future. And nobody knows that something might not happen that stops a project from being released on time. And that usually results in upset investors. But yeah, a major shift from the passive investor mindset into a active team and team member investor. And I'm sure there's better words for this, but the ideas are the same. This is what we need. And if you watch the Cesar Millan, the dog whisperer guy, he talked about something really interesting that I think would be great to see teams kind of implement, which is that we teach our dogs how to behave. And a lot of people don't realize that. If you watch that show, it's like, have you not seen Dog Whisperer, but you're on the show, but you didn't realize? But it's like, whatever. Sorry, that's a really bad dog. But basically, a lot of people blame the dog for its behavior, but a lot of the time, we taught the dog to be that way. Now, sometimes dogs are beaten and have a behavior that needs to be, they need to be trained out of. So it's not always one way or the other. However, the mindset is that we kind of set the standard for how people treat us and don't treat us. I think it's really important for the team to take that mindset of setting the standard of like, hey, you're not just someone sitting back doing nothing, waiting for something, thinking that you have us by the balls and we're just trying to convince you not to sell. You are part of the team and you play a role. And a lot of people take this mindset. They say, you know what, I'm going to help this grow. And they literally get hired on. You look at Safemoon, the impacts that people had, they get hired on. Ryan, the Safemoon Fudhound, the Safemoon Hound, was hired because he took more than just a passive investor role. And there's nothing wrong with being passive. It's just don't be passive and complain. Don't do nothing for it and then just whine and complain when you're not helping anything. If you're going to whine and complain, then do it in a way that's positive, that provides solutions, because it's very hard to differentiate between than the people who are just trying to make a project look bad because they want to make theirs look good. This kind of goes back to my last point, which is, what should the relationship be between a team and its investors? And I think what we see with a lot of projects is a launch and a big spike, and then you basically have these whales and a lot of investors that have, the ability to lower the price. And I think what we see is like a scrambling from the teams to keep these people and investors happy, to not sell. And to me, like, there's an aspect to that. There's nothing wrong with that as far as putting out good information on what you're working on. I see it as like, hey, if you want to buy or sell, do what you want to do. I don't care. But, if you want this project to do well, then take the right mindset and work at it. And if you don't, then go spend your time doing something constructive than trying to hurt things in life. But I think what we see is what we feel is that these investors have got the project's price by the balls, and they've kind of got the team captive. Like, you better make us happy, you better do what we want, or we're gonna sell and we're gonna destroy your price. And if you don't make us happy, then I'm selling. That's a threat we see a lot. Oh, I'm selling if this happens. I'm selling if this happens. And there's nothing wrong with that. If you want to sell, that's fine. But I don't think the team should take that mindset. And I don't think the true investor who's taking that team mindset as being part of the team that plays a role in their success should take that mindset either. It's like, hey, you want to sell? That's fine. And it's very much like a relationship, you know. I don't know if you guys, a lot of us are in different paths and different parts of our lives, but something I learned is that you can't have this neediness, you know. That's what makes relationships fail. And if the team is needy to keep the investors happy, like, please guys, relax, don't freak out, don't FUD, you know, don't sell, then we create this neediness that actually fuels that mindset that leads to people getting upset and selling and trying to FUD the project. Instead, I think we need to set the standard of like, hey, if you guys want to be here and you believe in us, that's awesome. If you don't, that's fine too. Go ahead and sell. If you don't believe in us, sell, you know. That's your gamble to take. If we do well, then, you know, you missed out. And if we do bad, then maybe you made the right decision, but it's your choice and we don't want to influence that. And that's kind of how I feel about relationships is, hey, well, I'm interested in you. And, you know, if you're interested in me, then cool. If you're not, then that's fine. And I'll go my own way. And that's extremely important to a successful relationship, is not being attached to having them in your life. Because if you become attached to that, then you become enslaved to them and you give them power over you. And it's the same thing as the team is giving the investors power over them when they have this type of relationship with them. If instead we say like, and I've seen this with John, where he's like, hey, I see what the future of Safemoon has. I'm fine. You know, we don't quite see this desperateness. So we do already see this in mind, but I would like to see it adopted on a wider scale to just teach people to have this mindset of, if you don't believe in a project, then go. Then just leave and be quiet. And we have to just mute those people, because those people are already always going to exist. And you have to just look, are they trying to destroy it, or are they trying to help it? But we also have to be able to differentiate between someone who's trying to help it by pointing out a negative and pointing to a solution, or at least asking for a solution in a positive, encouraging way, and somebody who's just doing it to create FUD and to create fear and to get people to sell. It's very hard to separate those things, but I think we've actually done it in this video very clearly. I think that's the mindset that not just the team needs to take with the investors, but all of us who consider ourselves part of the team, who consider ourselves part of the success of a project. If you're too busy in life and you just want to invest, that's fine. I'm just saying, if you're going to take a stance in action, it needs to be in the right one, or it needs to not exist at all. And that's what separates the FUD from the non-FUD. And I think this is extremely important standard for teams to start setting whenever they talk about new projects and new products coming out, is to say, hey, this may not be perfect, but we're willing to fix it, and we have to find the flaws. There's gonna be flaws. Every product you've ever used had tons of flaws that people figured out and found solutions to. It's part of the process to success. And to not have unrealistic expectations. When failure comes, when I make a video that does terrible and people hate me and it doesn't get views and I don't make money, it's okay, because I expected that. But I'm always aiming to be the best. I'm always aiming to be the best version of myself, and I'm always aiming to do as well as I can and to learn from others. And this is part of how a real community can come together and actually succeed and actually moon. Like, that's what we're looking for. In all of DeFi, most of us are just looking for financial freedom. And if we want that, we have to come to these right mindsets that have a positive impact. The investors are one of the most crucial resources a team has. We have the ability to move tons of people to make something popular. We have the ability to all come together and put $1 in, and then put $100,000 towards, you know, a good cause, like helping people, but also getting our name known out there. There's all kinds of things we can do as investors. And I just want to start emphasizing this type of mindset towards the team. For one, I think it's good for all of crypto. And two, I think it's good for Safemoon and Evergrow. And for the future. So let me know what you guys think in the comments. If you guys want more videos like this, make sure to like, comment, and subscribe. That tells me and the algorithm to keep making this type of content. And I'll see you guys in the next video.